Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Technology Horizons 2025 and Beyond, a series where we explore how technology shapes our day to day lives, from education to healthcare to smart cities and innovation. I'm Dr. Ikram Rahman. Thanks for tuning in. In today's episode, we are looking at how technology is being used in early years, primary and secondary education across the Middle East and North Africa region, and how it is impacting not just students, teachers, but also their families and communities. Joining me in today is Fatima Atieah, an experienced educational trainer working across early years, primary and secondary education. Her expertise is in science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, phonics, and technology integration, among others. She has led major professional development events in the MENA region and is the founder of Smart Owl EdTech, which provides EdTech solutions and trainings with a team of experts. She also co founded the United Arab Emirates Teachers Network, a community of over 100,000 educators across the region and beyond. Fatima, it is a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
It's a pleasure to me as well, Dr. Ikram. And hi, everyone, as well. It's a pleasure.
Fatima, let us begin with where we actually currently stand. My first question to you is, how would you describe the current state of technology adoption in schools across the MENA region, especially at early years and primary levels?
So, if we look at the MENA region now, the integration of technology in the MENA region schools demonstrate considerable variations, to be honest with you, particularly at the early years and primary, if we start with that levels. According to the UNESCO report on digital education on 2023, which is the latest report on UNESCO, they talk about there's an increasing trend towards technology adoption. Yes, so there is that. However, there's a big one, however, and we're going to put a red line under that. However, this adoption is often influenced by two factors, which is, we know, even in the UK, it's the same thing as well: socioeconomic and status, and also government policies as well. Now, we look at early adopters, for example, who are utilizing tools like interactive whiteboards, which we see in most, let's say, in the most schools in the MENA region, because of the fact that parents pay high tuition fees. So you will see that there is many of that, and there's many educational apps as well. Reflecting another thing why they have done it, reflecting constructivist theorists, where they believe education is endorsed by thinkers like Piaget, for example. He emphasized the learning is an active process, and that's why they use mostly whiteboards and educational apps. But as we said, it's however, because we're going to go on to the next question. I'll explain more why.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, let us look at obviously the challenges because we always see that technology is not always goody goody, right? So there are challenges associated with it. So, my question to you is, what are some specific barriers educators faced in integrating technology, be it logistical, pedagogical, or even cultural?
Absolutely. Like educators here, for example, in the MENA region, they encounter multiple barriers to effective technology and integration. Why? Because if you look at the logistical challenges, that includes inadequate infrastructure and limited internet connectivity. And you're going to say, oh, how comes? Yes, there is. And especially in rural regions. So there is many places where I have visited, I'm not going to name nurseries or even schools, where I would ask, like, when I do observations, so how comes you don't have a smart board? And they would be like, no, children have it enough at their home. And this is where it makes me think twice, like, come on, at the end of the day, those children, when they grow, they're going to be surrounded by technology. It's the fact that moderation and the usage of it and how to use it is the crucial point. Do they know that? Do they have enough training on that? That's the thing. So you would see they use that excuses, and parents what have in the mirror say, yeah, actually, yeah, you know what? My child looks at iPad. My child sits there and watches TV all the time and plays games. So you know what? Actually, I don't want them to do it in school. But in reality, this is definitely a myth. There is no research that says that technology is bad for children if it's used adequately, moderated as well, and in something that benefits those students, whether it's teenagers, whether it's primary or early years, it's actually beneficial for them because they're going to be surrounded by it and they need to know how to use it.
Absolutely.
So, and especially, and on a pedagogical approach, again, pedagogical approach level, many teachers may be unfamiliar, and this is what we talked about, with the necessary technology or lack the skills to integrate it efficiently, which I have seen even in the UK back when I was working actually in private schools. I would see a teacher who's been a teacher for 20 years and she finds it a bit difficult to use technology. She says, what did she do? She says, you know what? Again, uses the same method to the parents. We don't need technology. Let them just do hands-on activities and that's it. Again, it's wrong. She doesn't know or he doesn't know how to use it. He hasn't had the proper training. So that's the excuse. And it's not their fault. It's funding, we know, from the government when it comes to the UK. And here it comes to the fact that they're not trained well. So they're reluctant to do it. So this is another thing that they have found even in Etma's research in 1999. He says that when teachers may be unfamiliar with the necessary technology or lack the skills to integrate it efficiently into their curricula. That's true. They don't know how to do it. Exactly. Culturally, there may be resistance to change. We know that. Some schools are, and I've tried it, by the way. I've been to so many demo presentations where I would present an educational program that is beneficial for both the students and the teachers. But the setting is reluctant. They would tell me, Fatima, we don't have the time to sit there and train them. We've got a lot of, and by the way, in the MENA region, there's a lot of staff turnover as well. So imagine how much they have to pay every year to keep on training them for the newest sort of educational programs. And they find it difficult as well. Oh, it's going to be too difficult for me. I can't do it. So that's another thing that I believe in culturally is the paradigms of prioritizing the memorization route, which they do that, rather than have interactive learning. And that's aligned again with the theory by Michael Follins. He did an excellent work in systematic change in education. And he talked about how that resilience, that resistance to technology, it's seen in even the best schools.
So now, along the same lines, obviously, we have seen digital transformation in education or any other field a lot, particularly when we were hit by COVID-19. Post-COVID-19, it's kind of trending. Now, again, along the lines, I'm pretty sure, pretty much you have answered that question already. But do you think are teachers ready? How are teachers being prepared to use the digital tools effectively? Do you feel the current training or CPD programs are truly meeting their needs?
Yes, absolutely. If they get that, if they provide that. Again, it's nothing got to do with the facts because when it comes to the minority, it's a bit different from in the UK because usually we have state schools that are funded by the government and there's lots of cuts on funding as we know since COVID. So I do have sort of some empathy for those teachers. But then here, the parents are paying thousands and thousands. The minimum is like for tuition fee is the university fees that we have back in London. That's how expensive it is. This is the minimum. I'm talking about average school. And it goes to highest to up to £40,000 in Abu Dhabi. So if you think about that, why wouldn't they have? How much does a professional development actually cost? It won't cost a lot. But again, it's that resilience. It's the fact that they have found with it a TPAC that a TPAC, sorry, framework that the Misha and Kola talk about 2006 that they highlight the necessity of training and combines three things, which are the content knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge, and also the technological knowledge. You have to have these three ingredients so that you can be using it effectively rather than I've seen in so many observations where there is really, let's say, prestigious schools and looking amazing, by the way, very bougie, very nice. But when you go in there, the teacher just puts the smart board and lets the student just sit there and watch. And then that's it. That's not integration. That's not fruitful learning. Documentaries are good, yes, especially for EAL and SEN. It's excellent, and even monolingual ones, they look at the documentary, they are visual learners, they're auditory learners, they are tactile learners, all kind that you can involve them. However, it shouldn't be just using totally IT. And this is laziness, we call about it. That's lazy. That's not how we integrate IT. It's lots of fruitful discussions about that after the documentary. You can have debates, put something, someone talking about their perspective about a certain question, and let the teenagers, for example, in secondary discuss it. Primary open-ended questions, let them watch. Maybe they are EAL and CN, they need to watch so they can understand. They have that visual aid. So it all depends on training. If they do it, yes, they will have a meaningful, excellent integration in their learning for the students and for the educators as well. And not just that, the EdTech solutions nowadays, it removes that burden for teachers. Now, what I have, for example, with my partners back home, we provide lesson plans, for example. I remember at my time, we're talking about 15, 20 years ago, I'm sure you know as well, Dr. Akram, where we sit there and just write lesson plans. No. Nowadays, EdTech solutions, EdTech programs, they do it for you. Secondary, primary, and early years. So rather than the teacher sitting there, writing, doing paperwork, she can interact with those teenagers, with those students, rather than just having that preparation or PPA time where you're just writing reports, where you just, even now report writing, there's special programs. One of my sparks, I have to say a big hi to her. She's Catherine Leon. She has an amazing program that does the reports for you. You just have to, rather than sit there and recording children's progress. So all these barriers and that preparation is gone now. So why not? And the programs are not expensive, trust me.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Now, Fatima, those of you, those researchers who follow me, they know that I'm passionate about, equal opportunities for lifelong learning. Now, talking about equity issue, do we, how do we ensure that learners in under-resourced communities, for example, are not left behind in this wave of digital transformation in education?
Absolutely. Like to ensure that learners in, for example, under-resourced communities, as you've said, the disadvantaged schools, let's say, or nurseries, the best, so that they're not left behind, the best is it's crucial for them to adopt an equity-focused approach, which is this involves establishing partnerships with community organizations. One of the things, like, for example, my partners back home, they are willing to give freebies and to give giveaways and do demo presentations to help. So, for example, for training, there is professional on the ground training. There is actually online training, which is cheaper. And if a school is a disadvantaged school, we say ready, set, go, basically program, which is 2 hours that takes you throughout the whole platform. And then you can just keep watching it until you know how to use it. So there is everything. It's just putting the effort. The team of a school, it's again, if they can't afford it, if we look at the digital divide theory, which is another one that Walshauer talks about in 2003, he talks about emphasizing the importance of accessibility, advocating for policies that provide equal access to digital tools like mobiles. Everyone has mobiles. Parents have apps. Parents can use all those EdTech solution programs for education. They can monitor their children's progress because nowadays, everything like, for example, if we're teaching phonics, we have a phonics screening assessment. The parent can actually track their child. What sounds have they learned? What sound they're still lacking on? What do they struggle with? So, as I said, it's you as a school, how you accommodate, how you think about a technology and taking away that myth that it will not benefit children or teenagers or even university students.
Absolutely. Now, Fatima, let me take you beyond classroom. Obviously, when it comes to education, it's not just about students and teachers. How do you think digital classrooms go beyond and impact families or communities? For example, outside of the school, have you seen technology bridge that school-home gap, particularly looking at the MENA context?
In now till now, not a lot. It's mostly not, for example, just for homework that you would see them, they would sort of assign. But when it comes to that communication, which I think is crucial, so I believe that the digitization of classrooms can bridge gaps between the school and home, creating opportunities for parental engagement. For example, via platforms like learning management systems. I need to learn what my child has done well. What do they need to improve on? These are the ones that I talked about. For example, one of my partners, Catherine Leon, who has a whole early years program that has the EYFS curriculum, and then they just monitor the children's progress. Oh, my child has, for example, they know they are good at this, they need to improve in this. In literacy, they're really good, they've accomplished the learning objectives, now they need to work on this. Maybe in KUW, which is knowledge and understanding of the world. So and this goes again, aligns with the theorists. I can see that I call him the god of theory, is Vygotsky. He talks about social community involvement in the learning process. So many schools in the MENA region, they do have that report, improvement, communication, and collaboration among families, but due to increased access to digital resources, and parents don't know how to use it as well. Again, CPDs. It's not only teachers that need it. Parents need to know how to use technology as well.
Absolutely. Fatima, what I like about having this discussion with you, that anytime you want to make a point, you always back it up with an evidence. Now, looking at evidences, are you familiar with any particular example or an evidence that shows long-term academic or emotional growth due to the technology use?
Yes, absolutely. So research indicates, for example, that appropriate technology can enhance both academic engagement and emotional well-being. These are two important factors. When we are sort of surrounding our children and locking them up, all students, telling them technology is bad, what does that do to the child? It's basically, or the student, they feel like, "Ah, there's technology everywhere. Why am I sitting in that locked up setting?" That's the wrong of it. So there is one, it's called the SAMR model, and it's again by Putra, who talks about in 2030. Putra illustrates that technology can only enhance but also transform your learning experiences, leading to two things: deeper understanding, emotional connection to the material. Now, when we say emotional connection, you can tell me also, what do I mean by emotional connection? So, for example, if I'm doing about history and I'm doing history of, let's say, Vietnam, history of China, I'm going to have that emotions towards that documentary because I'm looking at how it is, looking at the way the people, their culture is, and having that vision inside my mind. You know what? I'm imagining things as well, creating imagination, critical thinking. Oh, is that how they live in their culture? Is that what they do? And this is what they're telling us, that technology is good as well in that way as well. And that's, of course, by Schmitz. He talks about the academic engagement and he talks about emotional well-being in 2014.
Absolutely. So we
Well,
have
not just him, Schmidt and Ettel in 2014. They talked the whole reason about.
absolutely. Now we have talked so much about technology. Now, one of the questions I believe everybody would ask, themselves or the schools that their children go to would be: are we focusing too much on these flashy tools and forget the real problem we are trying to solve in the classroom? For example, what should technology in education truly aim to fix?
Well, they, again, going back to the fact that people think that alluring, flashy technology, instead focusing on that, we should remain on addressing educational challenges such as personalized learning. It's very important, and accessibility. So, for example, Sir Ken Robinson talks about, he articulated that education should foster three things again: creativity and critical thinking, rather than just merely focusing on content consumption. And of course, going back to the well being of the student.
Absolutely.
Are you enjoying textbooks? No.
Sure. Now, I really appreciate your advocacy for improving teaching and learning using technology. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. Fatima, let's say if an education minister or a school leader is watching you right now, listening to you, what is that one message that you would give to them about technology integration, which they need to start from tomorrow, implementing starting from tomorrow?
I would say to all education ministers and school leaders, I emphasize the importance of clear strategic vision, prioritizing meaningful, and we'll put a lot, well, I'm going to underline that one, meaningful technology integration, And don't give that myths and lecture parents about technology is a bad. It's definitely a myth. It's you as educators, you should know what is good and what's bad, what's going to benefit them, what's not. Training is important.
Yeah.
It's a part of it. So I would say this involves investing in teacher training, maintaining infrastructure, and focusing on the socio as well, emotional aspects of technology and education, and guiding that transformation rather than merely, which we see, adopting tools. They just throw at you tools and just go and do it. You need to train them.
Absolutely. Now, Fatima, the last part of my episode is where I throw a bunch of rapid questions at you, and whatever comes to your mind, rapid, one-liner, please answer using those. Okay, my first question is, an EdTech tool every teacher should at least try.
Google Classroom. I love it.
Absolutely. I absolutely enjoy.
I thrive and I live on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me take you 10 years from now. We're looking at 2035. Do you see the dominance of tablets or textbooks?
Tablets, as they facilitate interactive learning.
Absolutely. And the most surprising thing a young student has taught you?
The importance of curiosity in learning.
Absolutely. If you could take your favorite childhood teacher and drop in today's digital transformation in education, what do you think they would say to you?
They would likely marvel at the engagement of resources they available, but stress the importance of maintaining personal connections, which I totally agree.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the biggest nightmare of any lecturer or teacher. You're teaching in a classroom, your laptop, projector, smartboard, everything fails mid-lesson. What is that old school trick that you would fall back on to keep your class engaged?
To be honest with you, as a teacher, you would have that for sure as an educator,
Ah,
and you should always be ready for it. And it's happened so many times. But that's when we talk about the creative teacher, the ones that fix it out the box. Storytelling.
yeah.
And remember, we're not, as I said at the beginning, we're not integrating technology the whole lesson. It's integrated when it's needed, when it's useful for those students. So, for example, you should be doing storytelling, discussions, debates. You should be doing, for example, hands-on activities. There is no question about that. However, you integrate technology just so that they are aware of it and they know how to use it when they grow up. When they go to their own, when they do projects. We have so many PhD doctors, but do we have inventors? No. This is what we need. A competition now is not about how many degrees you've got. You need to think about your child in the future generation. They need to think about the competition of actually, I need to be an inventor. And only inventors they have to know how to use technology, because it's all about technology now, integrating it.
Absolutely. Fatima, the last question is the fun question. And well, I have experienced this a number of times. I believe you did as well. What is that one creative excuse a student has given you for not doing their homework?
I lost my book, or it would be my dog learned how to use a tab and accidentally turned it into my assignment.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing, really. My students are amazing. I always say this to my students, you're amazing. Fatima, before we wrap up, if someone would want to learn more about the work that you do or get in touch, where is the best place for them to find you or follow you?
UAE Teachers Network. It's an excellent hub. You can follow us. You can access we've got paid webinars and we've got free tasters that you can just basically get a bit of knowledge. And this is where we talked about the disadvantage. People who can't afford it with low salaries, you can always go for the free tasters. That will help you. So we have tried to accommodate everyone.
Perfect. And I'm also going to provide the link in the description to your LinkedIn profile. So anybody would like to get in touch, they can freely contact you, obviously. Thank you again, Fatima. It has been a real pleasure having you on this episode and hearing your thoughts. And everyone, thank you for listening and joining us on Technology Horizons 2025 and beyond. This was our fourth episode and a lot more to come your way. If you're working on something exciting in technology and would like to be featured, in one of my future episodes, feel free to reach out. I'm always open to new voices and ideas. Also, if you enjoyed this episode or have thoughts to share, feel free to comment. I would love to hear what you think. Until next time, take care and stay curious. Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you, Dr. Akram. Take care.